Dear friends and colleagues, it has been 1 year since Acuris was introduced to the market. During this time, I have been asked many questions from all around the world. Before I address the most relevant ones, let me add just one comment. Acuris is not just a prosthetic innovation. Acuris is a complete game changer, which requires an open mind. So, give Acuris a chance and you will be rewarded. I promise. How do you try in an Acuris crown? To start, the lab technician makes the crown using the dedicated Acuris lab cap, the silver one. The lab technician will carefully check on the model the mesial and distal contact points, the occlusion, the emergence profile, and the overall crown design. When the crown is ready for the try-in, he has to replace the lab cap with Acuris' final cap, which is yellow. The technician will fix this cap in the crown with a temporary material. He can use temporary cement, sticky wax, sun acrylate, or whatever. Now he will deliver the crown to the dentist. The dentist will check the contact points in the mouth. When the contact points are perfect, the dentist will use the fixation tool to sit the crown completely down. Now it is the time to check the occlusion as well as the other parameters like color, compression, and so forth. When all the parameters have been evaluated, the dentist will remove the crown using the dedicated clamp called corner grip clamp. And this is the end of the try-in. Once the lab technician gets the crown back, he will remove the temporary material, retaining the golden cap. Using a new final cap, the technician will place the abutment on the model and cement the crown using the specific cement protocol of the selected material. Is there a perceivable difference in height between the seated crown before and immediately after the fixation with the fixation tool? In other words, does the finally engaged crown intrude? This is a question I've been addressed many times. Now, if you look at this slice of an Acuris cap and abutment, you see that there is a stop in the head. So, it is not possible that the cap intrudes during function. During try-in, as I have explained in question number 1, you do the occlusal check only after you have tapped the crown in the final position with the fixation tool. How do I know that the crown is completely seated and therefore truly engaged and retentive? If you look at the X-ray on the left side, you see that the crown is visibly not seated. This happens when the two triangles, the triangle on the head of the abutment and the triangle in the Acuris cap, are not matching. In this situation, an X-ray is helpful to detect the problem. If the triangles are aligned, but the final conometric coupling has not been achieved, the X-ray cannot help us. this can only be detected intraorally. The crown will be mobile and will pop off because the tissue is pushing on the crown. In this case, you will have to check for compression of the crown using the technique that you normally use, bite with cotton roll or whatever. Once the crown is no longer mobile, then this is the moment to use the fixation tool and tap the crown into the final position. What if the implant placement is too close to the adjacent tooth? Ideally, implant angulation should not diverge more than 15 degrees from the axis of the adjacent tooth, otherwise the implant will touch the root. As you can see, in these cases, you can easily fix this situation by using a 15-degree abutment. Here is one more example of a case. How do you remove an Acuris crown? Well, you can remove a ceramic Acuris crown with any pliers that have some rubber on the tips. However, most of the instruments on the market have tips that are too narrow, so they cannot apply enough force to disconnect the crown. When you want to remove the crown, it's important that you grab the broadest surface possible of the crown. Then you pull and wiggle a bit. Do not rotate the crown, because inside the crown there is a triangle that is matching the triangle in the abutment, so rotation is not effective to disengage the crown. Which material can I use to make an Acuris crown? Obviously, you can use any material according to the guidelines provided by the manufacturer. Personally, I like to use mostly monolithic material like zirconia or lithium disilicate, but you can use metal ceramic or whatever you prefer. To give you an idea of the minimal vertical space from the head of the implant to the top of the crown, have a look at this picture. As you can see, the minimum gingival height is 1 millimeter. The vertical space required for the abutment and the final conometric cap is 5 millimeter. And the occlusal space required may change according to the different type of material required. So it could be 0.5 millimeter, 1 millimeter, or even 2 millimeters. Can I make two adjacent Acuris crown? You certainly can do that. Obviously, if you use the 3.3 abutment, there is no problem of space. If you use the 4.5 abutment, then it's more important that the abutment is more or less in the center of the future crown. You need to allow space for an abutment with 4.5 millimeter width, plus an additional millimeter for the crown material. The total space you will need is almost 6 millimeter. Depending on the tooth anatomy, 4.5 millimeter abutment may not give the best result, especially if the implant is placed off-centered to the crown. Is it a problem that the margin of the abutment to the final cap is the same height around the whole restoration and not scalloped like customized abutments? You must consider that with Acuris there is no gap at the margin. When I say there is no gap, I mean zero gap. You can see what I mean with this SEM image. So, tissue margins can be placed anywhere, even deeper in the soft tissue. Since there is no gap, there won't be any inflammation whatsoever. If you look at this illustration, you see a comparison between a customized abutment and the Acuris stock abutment. As you can see, the overall results of the two crowns are exactly the same. The method to create the marginal profile is different. On the right side, you create a marginal profile with a custom abutment. With Acuris abutment on the left, you created a marginal profile with the crown, so the results are more or less the same. The only difference is that the crown is cemented on the custom abutment, so it does have cement at the margin. On the contrary, Acuris crown has no cement at the margin because the crown is cemented on the model. How do you assemble and disassemble the fixation tool? Well, have a look at this video. As you can see, sometimes it is necessary to disassemble the fixation tool to clean or to sterilize. Therefore, it is important to know the component on the fixation tool. This is very important. You can see two triangles at both ends. The two triangles have to fit together. When you reassemble the device and don't correctly align the two triangles, you will have a problem because the fixation tool will not deliver the correct force to sit the crown. The posterior part, as you can see, is very simple. There is just a cylinder and a spring. So, dear friends, I hope you find this little video helpful. If you have any further questions or doubts, do not hesitate to contact me. You may reach me at my email address or visit our website. So, thank you very much and arrivederci.